Hi everyone, Elle Hackney here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel where I get to speak to everyone in the book community, whether they be authors, illustrators, industry professionals, podcasters. And today's guest, I have Kirsten Ealand, who's brought out a book, Like A Gannet, just in time for summer. Let's take a deep dive. Kirsten, welcome. Thanks so much for coming.
Hi, Lauren. It's lovely. Thanks for having me.
I like your book, Like a Gannet. It's so fresh and different. Please, can you tell me a little bit about the book and how you came up with the idea?
Sure. So Like a Gannet is a story about a little girl who loves swimming and it's her sort of happy place. And she's not super sporty out of the water, but in the water, she can do all sorts of things like flips and twirls, and she's a good little swimmer. And so she sees her older cousins diving off the diving boards. And so she wants to have a go at doing that too. But yeah, it's a little bit out of her reach, so she has to work out how to do it her own way. So yeah, so it's like a first experience story about first time on the diving board and all the emotions that you go through when you're trying something new for the first time.
And it's also like it touches on a lot of different things because as soon as I read this story, I actually was reminded of a time when I was a kid on a trampoline because we didn't have a pool where I grew up. But like on that trampoline, I could flip, I could bounce, I could land on my butt without any kind of fear. I could land any way possible. I couldn't do that anywhere else. So when I read this story, I'm like, yes, so she can do all these things in the water, but applying it and getting rid of that fear and breaking through to that next barrier, I thought, wow, it's a really great story and a really great concept. How long did it take for you to come up with the story?
Well, let me think. I'm glad you got all that out of it, Lauren, because that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to really, it was inspired. I often read other picture books and I think, oh, what do I love about that picture book, or why is that picture book so wonderful? And I love the book, I've got it here, this book by Maxine Beneba Clark, The Patchwork Bike. You know that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Van T. Rudd. So it's so beautiful. And when I was reading it, I was thinking, what is it that I love so much about it besides all the gorgeous illustrations and everything? And it was the real joy of the character and that real, just no holds barred kind of joy. And so I thought, oh, okay, how can I write a story with that kind of, that's sort of like a masterclass for myself. So I'll try and write a story that has that kind of joy. So even though my story is nothing like that story, I just wanted to bring the joy out. So I thought back to a time when I was a kid and what made me have that kind of joy, and it was swimming in the water because, like I said, I couldn't do handstands or cartwheels or any of those things a lot of my friends could do. I wasn't very athletic like that. So, but when I was in the water, I felt like I could sort of do all those things, and I loved spending hours in that. And we didn't have a pool growing up either, but just at the public pool, at the local public pool. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to get to the story. So that was the end for the story. And then so Francie sort of starts off and she's got that joy in the water. And then because she's feeling so confident, she sort of stretches herself and thinks, okay, I can do this, so I can do that. And so she wants to have a go on the diving boards. But yeah, when she gets up there, it's all a bit scary and she can't make it. So she has to rethink and work out how she can sort of be like a gannet, because that's the name of the story, and do it her own way.
And let's not ruin the ending.
No, she does it her own way. So yeah, you have to find out how she does it. But yeah, so and like a gannet, because a lot of people say to me when they hear the title, what's a gannet? That's the first question they ask me. So yeah, so gannet is a beautiful seabird, and we have them in Australia, the Australasian gannet, and you've no doubt all seen one diving for fish off the east coast of if you're on the east coast of Australia. So they just dive straight down, and they're magnificent divers. So they sort of fold their wings back and hit the water at real high speeds. So yeah, so that's sort of what she thought the cousins looked like. So that's
Did it take many rewrites with this? Because with my experience of writing picture books, right, like you submit to the publisher, but then sometimes the point of view changes, or can we write it this way, or can we write it that way? Did that happen for you at all?
yeah, so the point of view never changed. I actually got out because one of the things I had to write was, when do I first start writing it? So I got out my first draft and was reading through it. And the whole story arc was actually there in the first draft. It was just the language. I think in the beginning she was trying to be a dolphin, or which is what I used to do when I was a kid at the pool, be a dolphin or a mermaid. So I think she was doing that. So it was only later that the birds actually sort of came into it. But yeah, no, the story was pretty, because I wanted that focus right on Francie and her emotions all the way through. Yeah, that pretty much stayed the same. When I took it to a manuscript assessment, that was at CYA, with Christina Passe. I think that's how you pronounce your name, Christina. And she read it and she really liked it, and I'd paired it right back. So, as we learn in picture books, you pare it down, down, down. And so she said, oh my goodness, this is probably the first manuscript I've ever said, could we add a couple more beats in there? Because I love the story, but I'd like to see just a couple more beats. So yes, I took it back and tried to address all of her feedback and added in a couple more beats and sent it back to her. And then, yeah, so she accepted it. So no, it didn't. All the changes had sort of mostly happened already, but yeah, it was pretty true to that first one. Yeah.
And so this book is a result of CYA success.
It is, yes.
It's
Yay,
this,
Christina.
was that your first CYA?
No, I went to my very first CYA in 2017. Very underprepared and I'm not ready, but I had done a course. My first entry into writing for children was at my local, at Byron Bay Community College course with Zanny Louise. And Zanny only had one book out then, one book and one book coming. And she was running I think it was every Tuesday for so many weeks. And so I went along and yeah, so, and after that course, she said, oh, you guys should all go to CYA. And we're like, oh, okay. She goes, and you have to book for manuscript assessment. So we even had manuscript assessment and everything. Oh my goodness, I was so not ready. But anyway, it was a very good experience, sort of like being thrown in. So no, I have been many times over the years. So.
And this style, Like a Gannet, is this generally your style? Is this how you usually write your books?
This one's in prose. Can I show cover? There you go. Oh. This one's in cover, in prose. I often write in rhyme as well. So I do like more lyrical prose writing, but yeah, I love to write in rhyme. And I find that really challenging. So I really enjoy doing it. But yeah, no. So I think I have a pretty broad style. Sometimes I write very briefly. I've just written my first non-fiction that's in sparse rhyme. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, no, I like to sort of push myself and do something new. And like I said, I do lots of courses and writing, but I often just get really inspired by other writing and other people's pitch books and something that's different. I think, oh, wow, what is it I love about that? And think, oh, challenge myself to do that, something similar, or not story similar, but some aspect of that I then try to bring into my own writing. So that's mostly how I try to work on my craft and try something new all the time. So yeah, I enjoy all sorts of different things. My next one that's coming out is a rhyme. So
so there's a next one. Can we speak about that yet?
Yeah, a little bit. It's actually coming out at the end of February now. I thought it was March, but now it's February. That's with a Firm Press. And it's called The Big Backyard Plan. So, yes,
that sounds exciting. I'm very excited about that one.
Yeah, thanks. It's fun. Me too. I'm really looking forward to it. It's been a wonderful year of learning because I had Like A Gannet coming through with Windy Hollow, and at the same time I was sort of doing working with a firm as well. So I've just had like double learning this year, and I was so ready to start that next phase of learning about publishing the book and that whole process. And it's been wonderful doing it with two different publishers. Windy Hollow's quite small, so I did a lot more editorial sort of things myself, whereas working with an editor at a firm, you just got a different sort of different learning. So yeah, but it was wonderful. I loved them both, and yeah, learned a lot this year. It's been a great year, so I'm really looking forward to my next one as well. So, but yeah, but this one first. This one's lovely. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. I love the illustrations that Deb Hudson's done. She's just made Francie just so adorably cute, and I really wanted Francie to have a bigger body shape, because when I was a kid, I was a bit of a heavier kid, and I wasn't super sporty. So I really wanted that to come through in this story, just to show that, all kids can sort of be the hero of the story. I think there's still not enough, body positivity in books, that, that they have all different types of representation of body shapes. So, yeah, I was really glad that we had to keep chubbing her out a little bit more. It's a little bit chubby. So, but, yeah, I was really happy with how she turns out now. And, yeah, Deb's done a fabulous job. Yeah.
And so with Deb, so the manuscript was written, the contract was signed. Did you give suggestions for the illustrator, or was it purely their vision and then you gave comments on what was delivered once Deb started?
So they sort of had an idea of who they wanted already at the acquisitions meeting. So this was before I even knew that I had a contract, because I just got an email one day saying, we had an acquisitions meeting this morning and we'd like to offer you a contract. Is it still available? And I was like, what? Yes. So at the acquisitions meeting, they already had an idea. They wanted to use Deb. So we then talked about, I just wanted to make sure that we could really get the expressions, because she goes through so many emotions. We really needed to show the emotions in her face and her body language and things like that. So Deb did a few character sketches and things like that in the beginning. And Christina and I, we all sort of looked at those and talked about those. And then, yeah, we got a few of those and we were happy with, yes, we could show all those different emotions, and then we went ahead. So, but it was really interesting how, I really, really liked that process. I had quite a lot of input into that process along the way. Just so we talk about how we were going to get the gannet into the story. I really wanted the gannet in the story because people don't know what it is. So I said, we need to get it in there. We want to show. And I somehow wanted the diving gannet in there. And Deb just came up with this brilliant way of, I don't know if you can see that, but she's at the mural in the pool, and then she's got the gannets diving in all their different diving positions coming down on the mural. And that was so inspired to do it like that, because apparently Deb her first job was working at a local public pool, so as a lifeguard or something. So she had quite a lot of fondness for that. So I think she really embraced that whole sort of scene. And she said around Victoria, a lot of the pools do have old faded sort of murals in them. So yeah, so that was a great way to bring it in. So yeah, so it was really nice doing that process along the way of working sort of together. It felt really collaborative, and I really enjoyed that process. And I think we got a really great outcome in the end because of that. And if I had one piece of advice probably that I've learned this year that I maybe didn't expect, that was that, to really bring that you're really an important part of the process as the author. And even though it's now gone over to the illustrator and it's working with the publisher, you really know that story the best. And so you can really, really just explain why you want something. And I think if you really sit with something and explain it well, why you want something, you can bring everyone on board with you. So not being precious about what a vision you have, but really nutting into what it is the story needs. That's what I really found worked best. So any suggestions or changes, I'd really sit with them for a day or two and think, how do they sit with the story? How is it bringing out what we need to bring out in the story, and always coming back to the story. But then sometimes I'd say, well, if we do it that way, we've changed the pacing, or we've changed this. And just always, I found my contribution was really important part of the process as the author. So, I didn't really think, I thought I sort of handed it over and I was out of the process. So, and maybe with some publishers you are, but I really enjoyed being a part of the process of bringing it to a book. So, yeah.
So do you feel, just with those words of advice, because that's something actually I haven't I haven't come across with my interviewing is how you brought your feedback across. So to a publisher or to the illustrator, um, so what you're saying is instead of just going, oh, I'm not sure about that, not sure about that, as long as you relate it to the strength of the story and the product that you're delivering, so
Yeah.
you find you have more success if you can back up your opinions that way when you're
Yeah.
giving feedback. Did you find the same with a firm when you worked with a firm?
Yes, I did. I did, and I was more confident to say things because I'd had this great experience. So I didn't have direct contact with the illustrators in either case. It was always through either the publisher or the editor. Um, but yeah, I was really confident in knowing my own story to say this is not serving the story, or this will serve the story better, or this would be strengthen the story. And sometimes the illustrator or the editor has an idea that makes it so much better, and you're like, oh my god, that's amazing, that's so good. But it's always
Run with
good,
it. Yeah.
yeah. But it's always good because it enhances the story. So always, yeah, what either brings something out in the story that. So for example, I really think Deb added another layer with this one, with the cousins and their relationship with Francie. I think she really heightened that through the illustrations and really brought that sort of, it's very heartwarming sort of extra layer, which was there in the story, but really she enhanced that. And so really added to the story in that way. So yes, I love that. I love that part of the process, what everyone else brings, but at the same time, just knowing that you know the story really well, and that sometimes going to bat for your story is not so much for your vision of the story, but actually for the story itself. So taking what someone said, the feedback, and going back to the story, rereading it many times, putting it in. I printed it out many times to read those words or any editing changes, or yeah. And I just think I'm really happy at the end with how we work together, and yeah, and just always are very respectful, of course. And but yeah, I found you didn't have to really even go to bat too much if you just explained why you weren't sure about that idea, or why you really were wanting this idea, then they would yeah, I found that really went well. Went well, and yeah, it was a lovely experience, both.
That's some
Yeah.
solid words of advice, actually, because there are a lot of people out there who that's their first, when they get their first contract, they're not sure what they can say, what they can't say. They want to make a good working relationship with the publisher, so they want to seem easy to work with. But you're right, it's the story. It's you want it as strong as possible.
Yeah.
So Kirsten, just asking, because you're extremely knowledgeable, you're very talented, and you're very vibrant, enthusiastic about the kidlit world. Are you available for author visits?
Yes. Yes, I am. So you can contact me via my website, Kirsten Ealand, www.kirstenealand.com. So yes, and there's a contact page there. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you. So I'm doing my first preschool visit with Like A Gannet. Well, in November, actually. I pushed out visits till November because I have my launch on October the 26th. So yeah, so next month in
And
November I'll do.
do
Yeah.
you do Zoom visits at all?
I've never done a Zoom visit, but I would be totally open to doing Zoom visits. I work in my local public library, so I do a lot of story times, and I'm also a trained primary school teacher. So yeah, I've got a lot of experience facilitating kids, and yeah, so I'm sure we've all got very good at Zoom, haven't we, over the last 2 years? So I'm sure Zoom visits would be great, and great for access for kids who
If you are an educator, a librarian, or host a writing group and would like Kirsten to speak to either your students or your writers group, please contact her. She's extremely knowledgeable. She's worked with multiple publishers. She's got a fantastic book coming out, Like A Gannet, and of course, there's more to come. And it's the messages behind Like A Gannet that is so important, especially for primary school aged children. And like I said in my introduction, what I got out of this book did not relate to swimming at all. So you never know what you're going to get out of this book by Kirsten. What's next for you in the future?
well, my other book's just gone off to print, so I'm hoping there's a little after this book's coming out, so all the launch and everything for this one, and then maybe a little rest and some writing time. I've definitely struggled with the creative headspace this year with all of the publishing aspect of things. It's quite a different headspace for me, so it was hard, I found, to find enough writing time to get writing, just to be creative and just not be thinking about the millions of things I needed to do. So I'm really looking forward to just doing some more writing now. And yeah, I've got some other things sort of out with publishers and sort of on a waiting list. So yeah, just never know what'll happen. So yeah, but yes, I'm really just looking forward to getting back into writing because I've missed it a lot. So I've done bits pieces here, but yeah, like I said, nothing really, um, not enough time writing. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that.
Well, I can't wait to see what happens with you next, Kirsten.
Yeah.
So, everyone out there watching this video, make sure you tune in to Kirsten's website, her socials, follow her, like her content, share her content. Make sure you buy her books, make sure you review them, and make sure you contact Kirsten for an author visit or a library visit, because I believe there's more to come from this author. Kirsten, thank you so much for speaking with me today, and congratulations on Like a Gannet.
Well, thanks, Lauren. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved speaking to you, and thanks so much for all your support of the Kidlit community, us Kidlit creators. You've made the process extremely easy, and you were very encouraging and welcoming. So thank you very much. Especially helpful for us debuts. Thank you.
I've done my job then. Thanks, Kirsten.
Okay. Thanks, Lauren.
Bye.
See you. Bye.